Greetings, Sarathy Korwar. Good to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you. You were born in the USA.
That's right.
And raised in India.
That's right.
And, how did that exposure in those two countries impact on you musically during your formative years?
Well, I think I was born in the US, but I can't claim to have spent any time there really, because I was, we moved back. My family moved back to India when I was about 3 years old. So I really just grew up in India. I don't know why people still say I was born in the US, but yeah,
Okay.
I was born there, but I grew up in India.
Okay, so how was it? Whereabouts in India?
I grew up in a place called Ahmedabad, which is on the western coast of, not on the coast, but on the western side of India.
Yes.
And then I also grew up in a place called Chennai, which is in the south.
Yes, I know.
And also a place called Pune, which is again close to Bombay.
Okay.
And after that I moved to London.
And why music and not cricket?
I played cricket. Everyone plays cricket. So, you know, it's like, I think like cricket in India is a bit like football in Brazil or something, right? You just like, everyone's playing it. And yeah, I mean, I played cricket. Pretty good off spinner, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, music just kind of happened because I was playing tabla since I was about 8 years old.
Right.
And, you know, I kind of just continued playing through my teens and always wanted to play drum kit. And so as soon as I could convince my parents to buy me one, I was playing both instruments as much as I could.
Okay.
And it all went from there, really.
Well, I was going to say, did your parents play a part in your musical development?
They're both actually kind of semi-professional singers.
Right.
So they were very supportive. And, you know, I grew up with a lot of like Indian classical music in the house. You know, them both singing all the time.
Yes.
And so yeah, the vibe was always there, and like, you know, they always kind of helped me. They never told me to not play. You know, they were always saying you should play. So.
Okay. You're classically trained on the tabla.
Yeah.
Under the tutelage of Sri Ranjeev Devasthan.
Yeah, Rajiv Devasthali.
And Panjit Sanju Sahay.
That's right.
What insights into the instrument did those two gurus bring to your playing and understanding?
Well, I think obviously they taught me all I know about like how to play the tabla. But like I think in particular Rajiv Devasthali really kind of opened up this whole world of percussion and rhythm to me in the manner in which he kind of taught me how to play. You know, he broke things down almost in a way that one teaches somebody a language. So into kind of phrases and building blocks, and it was quite an unconventional way to sort of, you know, teach someone. But I think it really inspired me to kind of then go and kind of make my own music using the kind of things that he taught me. And Sanjuji is again, he's a stellar tabla player, and it's just inspiring to spend any time with him and just watching him play. And his heritage is amazing. You know, he's the sixth generation of this amazing what we call a gharana, which is a school of tabla playing. And it's been in his family for 6 generations. So the kind of knowledge that he brings and the kind of, you know, his abilities on the drum are just motivating.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you made the move to London?
I was 22.
22, so how long ago?
That's cool. I don't mind saying. I'm 28 now. So yeah, 6-7 years now. It's been 6-7 years.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And since you've relocated to London,
Yeah.
you've collaborated with numerous jazz and
Yeah.
improvisational
One of those, yeah.
music luminaries such as Alan Ghosh, Ingrid Surtso,
Yeah.
Carl Berger,
Yeah.
and Shabaka Hutchins,
Yeah.
not to mention the plethora of Indian classical musicians.
Yeah.
Exciting times, no?
Yeah, exciting times. I mean, London's been, in that sense, it's been great, no? Because like you get to meet all these people and play with them, and it's incredible. Just the amount of people that I've met over the last, you know, few years, and yeah, it's London. It's a melting pot.
And I believe Shabaka's on your
Shabaka's on the
debut
record.
album, project Day to Day.
Yeah.
How did that friendship and subsequent collaboration on the track Mawar
Yeah.
Transcendence
Yeah.
manifest?
So, I mean, I've known Shabaka for a few years. We've played a bit in a couple of different projects, and I definitely wanted him on the record because I thought he would be perfect for the kind of sound I wanted, and he'd understand the project as well. And with Mawra, it's interesting, actually, the whole track is actually recorded off the backing track of this drum that kind of starts the track off and then fades away. But when I was recording the saxophone or the bass clarinet, we just played the entire, it's like 5-minute piece on the drum in his backing, you know, in his cans, and he was just playing along to that sample, and essentially everybody who's recorded on that track played along to that backing track. So it was an interesting kind of technique. It just kind of happened, and I think sounds cool.
Okay. While on the topic of Day to Day,
Yep.
in the new album, can you please enlighten us as to how it came to fruition, since it's now receiving a lot of public and both public and critical acclaim?
I mean, that's been amazing. I don't know why it is, but so I got this thing called the Steve Reed Foundation. They were doing these grants. So I applied for a grant to record day to day, and I got accepted, and I got this fellowship too, and I got given some money and support, mentorship by the people who are on the Steve Reed Foundation, and so it all started from there really, and then I kind of recorded the album, and everyone got involved in some way or the other, and Ninja Tune picked up on it, and it's just, once the ball started rolling, it just kind of went from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It has a very original flavour.
Thanks.
What was your mindset going into recording the album?
I mean, I just knew what I wanted to do. My basic kind of fundamental idea was that I wanted to work with the Siddhis and record them. Yeah, I just wanted to record them in their kind of most natural kind of surroundings, where they would usually perform even in very intimate kind of in their houses or near the Sufi shrine that they worship.
Yes. You better clarify what Siddhi, because
field
recordings that you've used on the album.
Right.
From Siddhi musicians who are African migrants.
Yeah, so the Siddhi community are people who have emigrated from Africa on the eastern coast and southern coast of Africa over to India over centuries. And so their heritage is, East African, Southern African, but also Indian, but also Sufi. They're Sufi, they're Muslims, so they're Sufis. So it's an incredible kind of heritage to have, and it's very, it's obviously very reflected in their music and in the kind of things they talk about and sing about, So, what was that? Can't remember.
Where were those recordings made, and how did you gather the Siddhi musicians?
They were made in, so the entire troupe live in a village called Ratanpur, which is in Gujarat, which is where I grew up, west. So I speak the same language as them, like we grew. And one of the musicians lives in a neighboring town called Bharuch. So me and a photographer just spent some time there just recording them, like going into their homes. And they were really generous, with their time, and just welcomed us in, just hung out with us, really let us kind of just sit around and like watch them kind of just, be. Yeah, it was great.
Wonderful. Well, you've been awarded the Rajaka Parika Fellowship Award in 2014.
Yeah.
And more recently, the Steve Reed Innovation Award by PRS in 2015 for music.
Yeah.
Did this make a smooth path for you regarding your signing with Ninja Tune and the subsequent album release?
I think so. Probably best to ask them, but yeah, I think so. It's one of those things where one thing leads to another. Like, I think nobody had heard of what I was doing before the Steve Reed Foundation, and then once the Steve Reed Foundation got involved, Giles Peterson got involved, and Kieran Hebden got involved, and Nick Woodmansey got involved, and then they started telling people about the project and about me, and that's how Ninja heard about me, and they heard the album, and I think they liked the story behind the whole arc between, how I started doing it and what the album is about, and the Steve Reed Foundation being involved. So I think it all went from, everything kind of is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So talking of Giles, he's the founder of the Steve Reed Foundation, as well as as you're working with now the creative genius of Nick Woodmansey from Emanative.
Yeah.
All these guys in your corner.
Yeah.
You must be buoyed by these major league associations you've made over such a short period of time.
It's insane. It's amazing. I mean, like, it's just like, what? It's incredible to have people like that, kind of, who you can talk to or just like ask if something sounds okay, even, just to be able to kind of show them my music. I know it's kind of like a privilege to be able to kind of, because you know how much, these people probably get about 100 records a day to listen to. So to have them in my corner, in the sense that they know of me and they kind of supported me, it's incredible.
And how did you make the link with Nick?
Nick was one of the mentors on the Steve Reed Foundation. He heard the music, he wanted to get involved. I needed somebody to mix the album. He very generously offered to do it, and just went from there.
Where do you draw your inspiration from regarding composing?
Well, I don't know exactly where I draw it from, but the tabla is an instrument that kind of inspires me a lot, or like Indian rhythms too, and Indian music does, Indian classical music, Indian folk music. So a lot of it comes from there, because it's something that I'm familiar with, and it's something I grew up with, and so I suppose that is one inspiration. But so is jazz, and so is just improvised music. Ultimately, I think a lot of the music that I want to create is music that I know I want to be able to play in a live scenario with people. So it's not just me behind a laptop. Like that's not really ever gonna motivate me to kind of make that kind of music. I like playing with other people. I like collaborating. That's the crux of like music making for me. To be able to collaborate with people, to be spontaneous. Like, yeah.
You've answered one of my questions. I was going to say, we're looking forward to tonight's show.
Yeah, me too.
I was going to ask whether you're happier in the studio or performing on stage.
Oh no, performing on stage for sure. But even in the studio, we kind of record all the songs as if we're performing. So we all just get in a room together and play. That's how I like to kind of record as well. So yeah, it's just performing, basically.
You also have another project running parallel to this, Pergola, with Cara Stacey.
Yeah.
What does Pergola mean?
Pergola is actually it's a structure. It's like a very minimal structure that kind of it kind of defines space in like a very minimal sort of way. And we kind of felt we had this connection because her father's an architect, my mother's an architect. So we were coming up with names. We thought we should try and figure out something that's kind of we both have in common. And so the architecture thing stuck. And then we just talked about different structures, and we talked about the pergola being a cool structure that defines our music also, because it's quite sort of minimal and it doesn't really, it's very ambient in some parts, but then there's all these kind of nuances. So we thought pergola.
Okay. And you've put that project on hold for a while you're promoting
It's on hold only because we just live in different parts of the world. Cara Stacey lives in Cape Town, I live here. But we're definitely going to record an album soon, hopefully the end of this year or early next year. And that's exciting as well. That should be really good.
And just going back to the album, there's another track that's been exciting to people. Track 2.
Track 2, Bismillah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, how that came back.
Bismillah is again a track that like features the Siddhi musicians, and they're basically 6 drummers who are playing and singing, and it's this like call and response kind of drum idea, and it constantly speeds up in the recording that the way the Siddhis perform it, but also the way we perform it. And I had this idea of, because there's so many drummers in different parts on the song, I wanted to get another drummer in and like talk about these kind of polyrhythms that could kind of work. And we just drew inspiration from some of the melodies that the Siddhis use in the song.
Definitely works.
And it just speeds up. It's just full on. Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, so we're looking forward to the show tonight.
Thank
Regarding
you.
the future, what do we have in store? Future recordings and collaborations?
Future recordings. I mean, I don't know. I just want to tour this project for a while before I think about doing more. But definitely, I think by touring it, there'll be some ideas that crop up. Just by playing this stuff more and like with the same kind of people. I'm just enjoying it right now.
And you've also road tested the album recently when you opened for Kamasi.
That's right. That was insane. Again, like we got a chance to kind of, as a trio, perform songs from the album with Kamasi. In support for Kamasi.
And the feedback from the audience?
I think it was good. I think they didn't leave, so it was good. It was good. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So good times. And tonight we're here at the Total Refreshment Centre, and you're going to drop the debut launch of
yes.
Day to Day. And the title came about via...
Day to Day was just an idea that I had by spending time with the Siddhis as well, and also in my own life. This idea of kind of rituals and like everyday things that we do to kind of keep ourselves sane, or like what we should do to keep ourselves sane. Even if it's like 5 minutes of like meditation, or 5 minutes of, it could be even superstitious things that we do, that kind of physical things that like have an effect on our mental well-being.
Wonderful.
Something like that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Sarathy.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Okay.